I do know everybody on that plaque. The plaque's been going now, I think it's in its 22nd year, and everybody on that plaque I do know. I've either worked with them in the past or I know them through the brotherhood. I never expected to be in with the high caliber people like that. I never expected that at all. I worked with a colleague of mine by the name of Rod Taylor, and I watched him pass away over kind of a 4-year period. I worked directly with him, and I was really affected by it. So when Wayne's failure got to a point where he was diagnosed that he was going to lose his life too in time, I went into the process of giving up my kidney to him. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I did do it. It was horrible. Watching Rod on a day-to-day basis slowly becoming less and less really affected me. And I think the biggest thing about that was I went into dialysis one day to see how he was doing, and I couldn't even make it to the back of the room. I was just so affected by how weak he had become.
Charles mentioned that he did work for me in fire. I didn't know him very well at the start, but we sat together at coffee one time and talked about various health issues that people in the department had. And during the course of that conversation, I told him that I had kidney disease and would likely need a transplant or dialysis in the future. Charles actually barely paused a moment and said he would get tested, just like that. We didn't know at that time what his blood type was, whether he'd be any chance of a match. So my disease progressed from there to the point where it started looking like I would need a transplant, and then Charles went through a barrage of tests. And at first we thought he wouldn't be a match, but it turned out that he actually was a good match for me. It's about 2 months. At first it was actually really tremendous because I felt 1,000 times better, waking up even from the surgery. In fact, for the first month I would just sit there and just look around and just think how bright the world looked and how optimistic I felt and how motivated I felt. Of course I couldn't do much at that point, I was still recovering, but it was just like life just turned around completely.